Good morning. I don't need to be, I should be on mute, right? On my laptop, okay. Good morning, folk, especially the friends that's online. We will be starting Reverend Zooks in the next 5 minutes. The next 5 to 10 minutes we will start. Please, thank you for your patience. I'm looking at the chair and the chair is not looking at me. So I'm trying to give him grace and I'm asking for grace. So we should be starting any minute soon. To the folk that is online, we will ask our technical team to just send you the annual report in the chat. So they'll send it to you in the chat so that you can have the annual report as we will be going through the various reports. Okay? So I'm asking for grace while we have nice music. Please. Are we back? To the folk online, again, if you want to just go to the chat and just register your name and from which organization you are, please. That would be really helpful with our just to sort out our registration form on the side. If you can do that in the meantime. I think the chair indicated that we can start. So we will start.
Good morning, friends in person and friends online. How are you? You are lovely. I am here to welcome you to the annual general meeting of Saffi for the financial year 2024 ending 2025. And thank you very much for your precious time and efforts this morning to come here and be present online and also in person. At this time, I want to announce that we have the agenda of this meeting. As you were signing at the door, there is an agenda. On the next page, we have the minutes of the previous AGM. You have also been graced with the annual report as annual report for 2024 and 2025. Just on page 4, I'm just making a disclaimer. Yes, 2024 on the printed one, there was what I call transposition error. The vice chair, the current vice chair, under one of the board members, Sondra Bailey, she used to be a vice chair. So when she transitioned from vice chair to one of the members of the board, we left her name. We graciously left her name, and we realized after printing that her name did go with her, but another copy stayed as a legacy name. So we want to place on record that Tawanda Mugari, as you can see the picture, is really not Sondra Bailey. Is Tawanda Mugari. So we just want to place on record that digitally we correct. In the printed pages, we also corrected, you can see. So we wanted just to give a background of that amendment. As I said earlier on, I welcome all community members. We have community members across the globe online, and I know later on their names will be read. We've got staff members of Saffi who are present here, from the executive director to all staff members. We have Saffi board members present here and also online connected to this meeting. The vice chair is online. The treasurer in the board for Saffi, she just said to me, I'm just close by. And I thought she's going to take some few minutes because the parking is not in the usual place. She needs to walk on the gravel and come here. And so we have members from the community, the partners of Saffi. You will see in our report, the annual report, all the list of the names. I want to welcome all our donors, both major donors and other many donors. Ford Foundation, one of our main donors, and also EMW. There are lots of stakeholders who are gathered here. I am just standing here to salute you and thank you for the time. Without taking much of the time, as you see the agenda, it's a very regulated agenda. Everything is given an opportunity in terms of the statutory requirements. You will all have an opportunity to have your comments on the reports, to have your comments and your participation when it comes to election as required by the Act. We have the moment now on number 2, where I would like to invite one of the staff members, Ashwin, to come here, Ashwin deploy, to do some health and safety protocols. Over to you, Ashwin. Thank you.
You can give me a round of applause, don't worry. It's fine, you can clap. You don't have to stress. Good morning, everyone. I'm just here to do the health and safety protocols. Greetings to the board and to everyone present here and also online. As part of Saffi's main cause, that we make sure that we value people and we value relationships, and so we also want to make sure that you know that your safety is our key priority here today. So in the case of an emergency, if anything should happen here at the artscape, don't run, relax. I know it's going to be very difficult. Normally I would have said, if you see me running, then you run after me. But no. What will happen in the case of an emergency? The artscape health and safety protocol officer will announce, alarm will go off. Because we are a small crowd and we're not a big crowd, we would not be using both emergency exits, as one of the emergency exits is behind me, through the escape door over there, and then the main emergency exit is through the front door that you came in. And so you would see everything is labeled, you'll see the exit. So what will happen in the case of an emergency, because we are seated at entrance 3 at the Isibaya boardroom, we will then move over out. You will follow me, and then the rest will come, me moving in, and so we will move from the back, from the back to the front. Yeah, I said that right now. Yeah. Then you will follow me, and I'll indicate to you which way you'll go out. So as you came in by entrance 3, that's the same way you'll be going out, and then we will meet at the bottom of the staircase at the emergency exit point, or the emergency assemble point. Then after that, once the place has been declared safe, then we will come back into the room. That is in case of an emergency. For all other protocols, the toilets are on your far right as you also came in, the males and females. Males on your right, females on your left. If you do go out by this door, there's also another female toilet just past the catering booth, and then that's also the female toilet. The male toilet is usable, it's just there's the issue with the water on that side. So I advise you then to move, rather for the males to move to the far end where that toilet is seated. Anything else than that, in the case again of an emergency, don't stress, beloveds, we've got your safety is our high priority. Thank you very much.
You see, Ashwin, you did not even ask for the round of the applause. It was granted to you. We would like to invite at this time, in the time of meditation, a time of prayer, Dr. Tahira. Thank you.
You can stand next to me and hold it. Greetings of peace, everyone. It's lovely to be here. I did ask our technical people to assist. Can we start with a piece of tranquil music? Thank you. O thou Lord of the kingdom, though our bodies be gathered here together, yet our spellbound hearts are carried away by thy love, and yet are we transported by the rays of thy resplendent face. Weak though we be, we await the revelations of thy might and power. Poor though we be, with neither goods nor means, still take we riches from the treasures of thy kingdom. Drops though we be, still do we draw from out thy ocean deeps. Motes though we be, still we gleam in the glory of thy splendid sun. O thou, our provider, send down thine aid, that each one gathered here may become a lighted candle, each one a center of attraction, each one a summoner to thy heavenly realms, till at last we make this nether world the mirror image of thy paradise. Peace be upon you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tahira, for that solemn moment of connecting with the Almighty Creator. I think it is indeed right at this time that we may pause to think about the casualties in the world in this time of the ongoing war in Iran, Israel, United States, and many other countries in the region there that are affected. Children, women, men, all people who are directly and indirectly affected. Even here where we are, right at the tip of Africa, we are affected. And so may we stand in remembrance of those who are affected and invoking the power of the Almighty Creator of everyone in the world to find ways within and among us to stop the war, especially to the leaders. May we rise. Thank you. Please be seated. We are, for those who have just came in, we welcome you. We are on number 5. We are on number 4. Thank you, Elizabeth. Our secretary, Nita, she is going to take us through to those who have submitted their apologies to this meeting. Our treasurer is here. I told you, she is just around the corner. Nita, would you want to come so that the members of this meeting who are online can hear you loud and clear? Or you can use a mic.
So the apologies to note, Frank Julies from Young People at Work, Dr. Bongani Ndlovu from Iziko Museum, Dr. Vanessa Mitchell from Robben Island Museum, Janine Turner from Chrysalis Academy, and then board member Sondra Bailey and Louise Samuels, who's Saffi's bookkeeper.
Thank you so much for the apologies, and I want to, on record, Secretary, to say with these apologies that this meeting is properly and formally constituted, that it may continue with all the required quorum of it. Is the meeting online and here in agreement? All those in agreement say yes. Yes. Is there anyone against? Can I just note, even online, there is no one. So it's unanimously agreed that we continue with the meeting as stipulated from page 1 of the agenda. we come to look at the minutes of the last meeting that we held it on the 15th of July last year. Our secretary has been so gracious to put up the minutes. If you look to page 2 of the leaflet that has been given to you, on page 1 is the agenda, page 2. I'd like to give you an opportunity, especially those who were at the meeting, if there is any error or mistake or spelling errors that you identify. We are on page 1 of the minutes as stipulated on page 2 of the leaflet. I'm assisted by the media team. If there is anyone online who identifies something, I see there is none. We go to page 2 of the minutes as the last page of the minutes stipulated in page 3 of the leaflet in your hand. Dr. Tahira.
Yeah, I just noticed under election of board members, I'm sure it's a typo, Christine did. 2 T's in my surname.
2 T's.
There's 1, it should be 2.
Oh, all right, thank you. For those online, Dr. Tahira was correcting the new surname that was given to her to remove 1 T. Thank you for that. To add 1 T. Thank you so much. The correction is noted by Nita. Going once, twice, thrice, we have come to an end of identifying any errors on the minutes. Is the meeting in agreement that these minutes truly and fairly represent the conversations we had? Okay, thank you, Dr. Tahira. And there's a seconder at the back, it was Ashwin. And is that the mind of the meeting, online and in person? Can I hear yes? Yes. Am I not pressurizing you when I say, but kindly doing so? Can you look at any matters? We are on number 6. Any matters on these 2 pages of the last AGM? We'll look at page 1, which is on page 2. If you identify any matter there, we have tried in preparation of the agenda to include what we deem necessary arising from the meeting we had. So you will see some of the items in the agenda that they have been taken from the minutes of the last meeting. Page 1 of the minutes, is there any arising matter? Page 2, it's going to be a lovely meeting. We have been kind to identify some of the matters arising. We're going once. We're on page 2, the last page of the minutes, identifying the matters arising. Going twice. Going thrice. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. They and them too. I'm trying to be as inclusive as possible. We have no matters arising from the last meeting we had. Also online, I don't see any hands online. So we are now on point number 7, agenda point number 7 in your leaflets in person. And online, you will see it is projected, the agenda point number 7, as the presentation of annual reports. For the folks online, you will have it projected by the media team desk. The annual reports will start with the 7.1, i.e. the chairperson's report. That is from the one who's standing here in this podium. I am breaking the ice. And to follow the rhythm of this meeting since it has started. I just want to keep us in sync with the rhythm of the time, that I may not add what is not in the printed report. So if you allow me, I know you can read, but when someone is reading and in this fashion, there is another spirit of engaging into that which is being reported. So I will read my report to save the time and to envelope you in the spirit of the report. It is found on pages 10. That is the chairperson's report. It's found on pages 10. It reads as follows, or rather it is accounted as follows. This year under review was laced with new forms of political themes in our country, in the region, and globally. The formation of Government of National Unity, which is normally known as GNU in South Africa, post the national elections, posed doubts to many people. Towards the end of year 2024, the entire world witnessed a shift in the philanthropic arena, and not only with US aid, but for many countries in the West. These shifts in the financial support of the non-profit organization sector invoked a mind shift and change strategy. This is true for Saffi as well. Since our inception, Saffi has always been mindful about its evolution as an organization with a particular concern that we stay true to the quest of women and their families who face intimate partner abuse. There has been a strengthening of work and resources for the Pan-African focus that Saffi formalized in year 2022. Regarding an emerged relevant work on men that the board members affirms through Men Affirming Dignity, known as MED program. Saffi executive leadership and all operations have demonstrated a clear understanding of what is needed in the gender justice and healing work to enable communities to flourish, which is intentionality around men's work to advance Saffi's gender work. Thus, the budget spent by Saffi in this year under review holds decently the current needed work to give meaning to the vision of Saffi, that is to see individuals live their full potential in intimate relationships and families in a society that is free from gender-based violence. The Pan-African Program and the MED initiative, in continuous consultation with colleagues in the broader gender-based violence sector, enables Saffi to trailblaze new frontiers in our quest to expand safety, accountability, and human flourishing options. Friends, as you can hear, I have tried to condense to you the path in the work that Saffi continues to not only negotiate, but to impact and strive to impact not only within our country here in South Africa, but across the Pan-African context and even beyond that. And so, as you can see, as I have said, with the changes that are happening in the world, we as Saffi leadership have tried to move even from the moments of the talks about the changes and the shifts within the sector. And so the work that we do is a very dynamic work. Yes, our vision remains the same, but the way in which we embody the work has been so dynamic. And as I've mentioned, the program men affirming dignity has been one of what we are convicted that is a path, at least in this season, to actually do the work meaningfully and in a life-impacting ways. And so during the year in review, the board took a decision for the organization to initiate a process of review and repositioning. For those of us who have read the minutes of the last meeting, there was a decision taken in this meeting to actually continue, or rather commence that process of review and repositioning. We embarked on a search for a credible organization that specializes in assisting organizations like Saffi with such processes. This intended process of review and repositioning coincides with a rapid changing global philanthropy environment. We are just spot on. You know, myself and Elizabeth, when she took me from the, we feel like I have ran ahead of the time in the sector, you know, with the decisions that we took in this body as the AGM. You know, we did not watch things to change, but we have did something. So we're actually saying thanks to you as members of this annual general meeting, because it was you who gave the leadership of Saffi to embark on the process of review and repositioning. You will hear later on some glimpses on the state of the progress of that work thus far. As a leadership of Saffi, we are mindful about how the changing foreign financial aid environment affects our work. Hence, we as Saffi take the session of review and repositioning with the intentionality that it deserves for the existence and expansion, also the repositioning of the organization. I wish to acknowledge the high level of visionary leadership in the organization, which enables us to carefully examine the present as we co-create the future of an even more responsive Saffi in a changing world. I can't say more. The world is changing so rapidly, but that which infused the desire to the founder of Saffi still remain, that it must be done. And so with all the changes that are happening, the how parts of socialization, the economy, and how the world has changed, but that initial vision of Saffi has not changed, but the way in which we embody, the way in which we carry that vision it continues to be affected. It continues to evolve. It is proper that I express gratitude to the entire Saffi team for holding everything planned for the work of Saffi with a sense of excellence and principles of Ubuntu. To the Saffi volunteers, to the religious leaders, Saffi board members, you are seen for every effort you offered and continue to offer to Saffi so that Saffi can realize her vision. Thank you. It's not really for any organization that it can ever claim to be immune from having gaps for improvements. This proposition of mine leads me to salute the board members for their leadership and our executive director, Dr. Elizabeth Horn-Peterson, for the meticulous and care that have been applied during difficult moments at Saffi. Friends, colleagues, online and in person here, it's a natural and an authentic acknowledgement that Saffi is not perfect. We strive for perfection. We acknowledge the gaps that we have for improvement. However, as I've placed here, I thank the leadership for the way in which, when we identify the gaps, we work together in the spirit of striving to do not just perfection, but meaningful and impactful way of changing people's lives. These leaders have consistently embodied clean work integrity for the interests of Saffi and her stakeholders. Lastly, to Ford Foundation and Evangelische Mission Velvet, Enkosi, thank you. You know, I'm pulling my mother tongue now. Enkosi for behaving in the vision of Saffi, and for your generosity. To the leadership of Ford Foundation and EMW, thank you for how you have stressed your conviction in our work by funding our strategic contra to a traditional operational funding of specific projects. This is like an aha witness to be affirmed by donors, you know, on the basis of our strategic objective and goals. Not to be finicky on the details, but to be convinced that we are going to do the work that strategically we say we would want to take this direction. As I place here that traditionally donors would fund you to do A, B, C. They will not generally give you on your strategic goals. So we salute that there is a shift in the minds of how donors affirm this work, in the sense that they affirm their conviction of strategic goals. You know, I want to believe that they fully understand the complexity, yet they understand the intentionality from the place of the vision of Saffi. And so can we give those who have a round big of applause? And so I wish to say you have enabled, I'm talking to the founders, we have enabled a new and a fresh space for Saffi to think out of the box in our path of drawing on faith and culture as resources while strengthening and enabling religious leaders, key stakeholders, and communities to live their full potential in intimate relationships and families, free from gender-based violence. And with that note, I thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And so I would like to give to our Executive Director, Dr. Elizabeth, to take the podium. And I've tried to take a little of time to allow you some more time.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair. I'm going to also read my report just to make sure that, you know, that I cover what needs to be covered. And it does kind of feel like we are still catching up with ourselves. You know, this post-COVID, everything has shifted. So it does feel that even the content that you will hear, it feels a little bit delayed. Like, you know, it's delayed because we're talking about 2024 to 2025 financial year. But I think it is important, you know, it is actually quite critical for people to hear what has been happening during that particular period. Just before I read my report, I wanted to, because I'm going to allude to this is one of the new strategies that we're using in terms of recording what we are doing, you know, through visual graphic reporting. And I wanted to just make a quick connection with what Reverend Zooks have mentioned, the chair had mentioned. The shifts and the changes that has happened is very much connected to a yearning that we believe Saffi is convicted, and even in my first work with women in the beginning of the 90s, women have asked, women who have been abused, who are abused, have been asking for interventions with men. They have said, many women have said, we don't necessarily want to end the relationship, we want intervention for the perpetrator, even if the relationship ends. If he is the father of my children, I still want intervention for him. And so I believe that the work of Saffi is complementing existing services that continues, because there's never enough services for victim survivors. But the intentionality of Saffi's work is to respond to that call and yearning of women over the years. And hence we are shaping ourselves. We always believe that it is not those that we seek to serve that must change. We must change. The ones who are helping, we are supposed to listen to those that we seek to save so that they can inform us and tell us what they need. And then we have to work with that. And so what you see on the screen is just it's kind of a little bit of a pathway. In the first segment, you will see, a woman with a child in counseling in a shelter setting, and specifically asking for that kind of intervention. And then, of course, right there in the back, there's a statement and which really reflects the services, existing services of the day and of the years, that says we do nothing for men. We don't help men. We work with victim survivors. And this quest that the women consistently have, and then in the second segment, you will see this is kind of where Saffi, in a way, comes in, where we begin to bring into the conversation the importance of connecting law and faith, right? And then also to bring in this whole area of we need to begin to engage with faith leaders as a response. We need to engage with men as a response to what women have been asking. And so I just wanted to show you that. I'm not going to focus on that. I just wanted you to see it, because I think it's quite interesting. And actually, when we're eventually going to have our comprehensive strategic review, repositioned plan, and all of that wonderful things that we will launch eventually, you will see how that intersects with where we're going. So I just wanted to show you that. So back to my report, addressing the faith dimensions of intimate partner abuse and gender-based violence is inherently messy and complex work. It requires long-term commitment to deep intra- and intercultural faith, personal work, using multiple modalities to understand and to address the problem. The juxtaposition of extensive efforts and promising strides made by many faith leaders in combating gender-based violence against the backdrop of clergy sexual misconduct perpetrated by some of their colleagues points to the paradoxical environment that Saffi navigates. Persistent tensions between the feminist movement and the faith sector concerning intimate partner abuse have often exacerbated the problem for individuals and families who are afflicted and affected by this human tragedy. Saffi believes that human beings entrapped in intimate partner abuse should not have to choose between their faith, their culture, and their safety and sanity and ability to thrive in intimate relationships and families. The onus is on the custodians of the feminist and faith sectors to examine the systems of belief and practices that undergird intimate partner abuse in the quest for restorative justice and healing. Since our inception in 2008, Saffi, as a catalyst, has devoted itself to engage these and other sectors, emphasizing the need to not only address the root causes, but also to excavate and amplify resources from within faith and culture to heal and transform gender-based violence. We have developed and implemented the Saffi model to our primary target group, who is religious leaders and faith communities. We have also started to emphasize the need to engage men as critical stakeholders in the continuation and or eradication of gender-based violence through the Saffi's Men Affirming Dignity initiative. Notwithstanding that we are still reeling and reorientating from the devastating effects of the COVID pandemic as an organization, this report provides an overview of the progress that we have made whilst navigating challenges during the 2024-2025 financial year. So refining Saffi's training model and the accreditation process. The refining of the training programs continued. Our research and consultation with experts in the accreditation field revealed a few possibilities for our consideration while we are exploring the best location for Saffi's accreditation with the Department of Higher Education in South Africa. One option is to offer training for continuing professional development purposes to social workers and other professionals, including clergy. And we just to name also that we successfully completed the necessary registration with the South African Council of Social Services Professions, which included police clearance and child protection register vetting. We will continue to explore other options, including collaborating with existing colleges and universities and seminaries. The accreditation process is more complex than anticipated, and it requires significant resourcing in terms of, or in the form of, expertise and managing the detail of each part of the process through to completion. So this work continues, and so for those who may have journeyed with Saffi for a long time, and I'm happy to see some of the faith leaders who have benefited and actually implemented the Saffi model and the training. It is this training that we are now, are working on to get that accredited, but also working towards, you will hear later, the Training Institute. So Saffi in the academia. Saffi believes that theory must inform praxis and vice versa. We recognize the importance of growing our presence not only through our program activities, through training, workshops, sacred conversations, and conferences, but also in the academic world. In recent years, there has been a growing interest and openness to Saffi's approach to intimate partner abuse and GBV from various sectors and colleagues within South Africa and beyond our borders. This led to a deeper self-understanding in our quest for a clearer ability to articulate Saffi's theories, convictions, mission, values, approaches, and strategies in a changing environment. In the light of our own self-examination as an organization and in our quest to embody our ethics, it has become evident that Saffi's mission statement and our values and our praxis and the posture resemble what scholars would refer to as an Afrocentric epistemology. Epistemology is ways of knowing. How do you know what you know? Ways of knowing, or your paradigm or your sense of the world. And then I'm just quoting there, Bakari informs that Afrocentric epistemology is rooted in spirituality, communalism, cooperation, ethics, and morality. It recognizes science as a primary way of knowing. And so Saffi's work is being recognized. I'm happy to actually note that. It was interesting when I did this little bit of research just to check in the scholarship, you know, where does Saffi's name actually pop up? So I've just listed some of those articles. I'm not going to read that. You can, you know, it's there in the report. So it was just interesting and quite encouraging to see that in the academic world, you know, Saffi's name comes up when it comes to any research or any work, credible work that is going on pertaining to the faith dimension of gender-based violence. And so we appreciate also the opportunity to contribute to the academic knowledge base pertaining to addressing the faith dimensions of gender-based violence. Human resource capacity. During the period in review, we have navigated various promising and very challenging changes in the human resource department at Saffi. Koliswa Mabumbi Bull, she was our Saffi's Deaf Community Accessibility Program Coordinator, and Pumelele, who is the freelance sign language interpreter, extended Saffi's presence in the people with visibility and invisibility sector. The consultation and collection, consultation and collective discernment with the clergy in Oudtshoorn resulted in the short-term contract appointments of Pastor Willie Kutsi, who is online. I'm very happy that you are in the meeting, Pastor Willie. So Pastor Willie was at the time, you know, the interim Oudtshoorn program coordinator, and we also had Nosisa Selman, who was the Oudtshoorn program development assistant. These contracts ended in December 2024. We also saw the retirement of Saffi's Atlantis Community Development Coordinator, Katie Roman, at the age of 70 in December 2024. So we were delighted to have had in residency Ms. Adama Koita from the Gambia in the capacity of social work volunteer and Pan-African program coordinator. This residency came about as a result of my presentation at about Saffi's work at the EMW. One of our funders invited us to come and present on our work, and so one of the members had then approached Saffi to ask if we would be willing to consider taking Adama on a residency. And she came and she, you know, she had actually just graduated as a social worker. So during her time at Saffi, Adama assisted within the Pan-African program, and with her initiative, we reached colleagues through online meetings from within the Gambia, Uganda, and Rwanda. Adama also helped to revive and establish a Saffi St. Anne's Homes partnership, which resulted in her facilitating Saffi's GBV Education and Healing Program pilot with women resident in the shelter. So that is quite a critical aspect for us. You know, we don't just run and, you know, work still on what women had said in 1993 about what they need. We need to stay woke and we need to stay present. And so this particular partnership was very important for us to be able to constantly hear what women who find themselves destitute as a result of abuse, what they are saying today, you know, the needs are. We want to make sure that we are in alignment. And so that was quite an important partnership that was rekindled. So in the capacity of office management, logistics and special projects, we had Nombulelo. Nombulelo helped with the creation of the Saffi YouTube channel and assisted with expanding our digital reach on social media. So you will see that some of our events now, we have a Saffi channel, YouTube channel. we're still getting used to this new world, digital world. And I'm so happy that we have on our board Tawanda. You'll meet him later. He's online, but really helping us to also make the necessary shifts, to expand. Some of us who were born in the 70s need extra support. So, yeah. So Dr. Fungai continues to volunteer as a doctoral research associate at Saffi. Libby, or Elizabeth Heinisch, in the capacity of research assistant intern. We had her also during this period. Libby was a third-year exchange student from Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where she was majoring in sociology and criminology, but Libby conducted a pilot or baseline study for us that explored the role and influence of faith, religious leaders, and faith communities in addressing white women's experiences of intimate partner abuse. Now, this is consistent with Saffi's mission that speaks about cultural competence. And when we have white students, or, we literally invite them to actually do research, this critical research for us within that particular sector. And so we had her, and that there's also it's often quite challenging, because what you find is sometimes certain groupings are very protective and silent and don't really want to speak about it. And we've seen that in particular through this research. I'm going to introduce the staff later, just after my report, and then you'll see we have another student that is continuing with that particular project for us. But we remain grateful to the team of existing consultants in the persons of Louise, who is our bookkeeper, Lynn Joy, who helps with program development, monitoring, and evaluation services. And we have also started to explore the use of visual storytelling media for some aspects of our work, which I was referring to earlier. Consistent then with our commitment to staff development and staff and support, staff training, self-care, and well-being sessions were conducted, and staff members were also included to participate in activities such as conferences, stakeholder engagements, and field visits outside of Cape Town. Some of these activities enabled members of staff to work closely with some board members, including Reverend Zukisa Fumba and Tawanda. One of the board members, Ms. Nita Makanji, Nita facilitated staff personal growth, self-care, development sessions during the year in review. So there's that intersection as well. So navigating internal and external change, whilst carefully facilitating. Does somebody have to mute themselves? Okay, our technical team has got that. So navigating, whilst carefully facilitating internal challenges that come with organizational change, we kept abreast and connected in helping to shape the external environment. In this regard, we deepened our accessibility program to people with visible and invisible disabilities. We collaborated with Women in Shelters, which I've mentioned earlier. Also, I think something that I want to highlight, we deepened our partnership with Ezekiel Museums of South Africa and participated in the National Heritage Council's 11th Golden Shield Heritage Award ceremony. The Oudtshoorn Clergy Retreat and planning in July 2024 focused on the theme Retreat, Review, and Renew to establish a concrete program plan for Saffi's continued work with clergy in the Oudtshoorn region. And so that was an important piece, because the work in Oudtshoorn I mean, we started in 2011, and it's been sort of up. Sometimes we had staffs, we had capacity, sometimes we didn't. And so we really felt that it was very important to go and spend some time and take some of the clergy on a retreat. And so Reverend Zooks, as the chair, went together with myself and one of the staff members, I think 2 at the time, went, and we had this process because we needed to discern together what is the way forward. And so, yes, we're talking about 2024, 2025, but that still, is, I guess in our repositioning, we will be able to finally report eventually what the way forward has been. But I think it's important for this meeting to know that we have really rigorously done a lot of work trying to figure out how do we proceed, especially with the work in Oudtshoorn. I now I think I'm going to jump, as also during the year in review, Saffi was invited by the African Gender Institute of the University of Cape Town to participate in a multi-faith reflective dialogue that brought together scholars from the Christian, Muslim, and African traditional religions. We explored the theme resistance to systems of power in culture, tradition, and religion. We were also invited to offer a lecture with the theme Teaching Resilience, Practicing Fearlessness as part of Ebukuseni Solutions educational program. And Ebukuseni is one of our partner organizations that they do incredible work with men across the continent as well. And so I presented, as part of their curriculum for their students. And then also we further participated and presented about Saffi's work at the launch of the Pan-African Dialogue Institute at the University of Uyo in Nigeria. The conference explored the theme Pan-Africanism, dialoguing the past, present, and future. Towards Saffi's strategic review and repositioning, as the work of Saffi has grown in depth and reach, the need for a thorough strategic review and potential repositioning of Saffi has been on the minds of the board, as we've already spoken about. And this need has grown stronger in the light of the life-altering impact of the pandemic pertaining to digitalization, innovative ways of working, and intensifying GBV reality for non-profit organizations, including Saffi. It is suffice to say that the rapidly changing global environment, together with internal growing pains within Saffi as an evolving organization, confirm the need to give ourselves permission to interrupt our own day-to-day business as usual activities and prepare ourselves psychologically to enter a period of deep strategic review and reconstruction. Some of the internal growing pains related to learning to open ourselves up to the digital world, inviting new human resource approaches to our work, and learning how to pause, to innovate, whilst building on new inroads that we have started to make pertaining to our Pan-African program, the men's work, and our accessibility program. So in search for a word or a concept to describe Saffi's posture during the year in review, because it was quite complex, I was reminded of the concept known as the law of inertia. The law of inertia. According to the law of inertia, an object, a body or an organization, will stay in a state of rest or motion unless an external force acts on it. So while some organizations become psychologically stuck and resist change, Saffi's listening and learning culture enabled us to welcome the opportunity to pause, reflect, and discern how the organization might transform as we seek to be responsive to our constituencies. And during these kinds of times, there's a lot of uncertainty. lots of uncertainty, and you have to figure out what are you doing because there's no blueprint. All of us know that. The blueprint is inside of us, and we have to discern collectively. So it's a very, very complex time. But we were reminded also that in her poem, The Hill We Climb, Amanda Gorman so aptly cautioned, we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. So the best way for organizations to engage inertia is to adapt. Consistent with Saffi's visionary and transformational leadership commitment, the organization decided to adapt. And so in conclusion, I want to say that it is said that a sign of dynamic leadership is evident in its willingness to read the signs of the time, be flexible, and willing to adapt to the change that is needed to advance the organization's vision, mission, and ethos. We have not only been nurtured carefully by the dynamic leadership support of Saffi's board, but we have also been encouraged by the donors who have shown extraordinary foresight, adaptability, encouragement, and support. The convening with theme Embracing Pause for Insightful Futures that was organized by Ford Foundation for its partner organizations and beneficiaries came as a lifeline in June 2024. It was kind of quite refreshing that the funder was also like saying we might need to pause so that we can actually gain, and think about and discern together for insightful futures. And so that was really, really encouraging for us. So in the book entitled Leadership for an Age of Higher Consciousness, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Times, Swami, or B.T. Swami, notes, just as the destiny of an individual is determined by personal character, the destiny of an organization is determined by the character of the leadership. It is not enough for a leader to lead their own institution, but being loyal to their institution in its vision and progress, they should be able to give healthy stimulation to the progress of the community or the society in general, especially in the environments in which they are interacting. Close quote. We have appreciated the ways in which the board has come alongside the management of Saffi in carefully and responsibly navigating, pausing, whilst moving in the direction of progress, not only for Saffi as an organization, but for the betterment of the quality of life for individuals and families that are afflicted by intimate partner abuse and the broader society. As we continue on the path of progress, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to the staff, volunteers, interns, the beneficiaries of our programs, our partners and stakeholders for having journeyed alongside Saffi throughout this past year. Thank you. And now, just before the chair comes back, I would like the current Saffi team to just come to the front and to just introduce themselves and just say who they are and what they are doing. Please.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Ashwin Duploy. I am the MAD Program Coordinator for the MAD Initiative. Thank you. Abbreviated Men Affirm Dignity.
Vertically disadvantaged. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Martin Gumbo. I've been with Saffi for 2 months now. Yeah, employed as to oversee or to look into accreditation, monitoring, and evaluation. And thank you.
Good morning. My name is Natalia Engler. I am the current exchange student positioned as Saffi's intern, and I am continuing the research on white women's experiences with GBV here in South Africa.
So that's the team. Did you get the picture there, Mr.? Because I see the staan is reg. Okay. So thank you so much to the team. Appreciate very much. Chair.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. It's automatically granted to you. Thank you. I now invite Sis Buli, our treasurer, Nchingwa, to come and present to us the state of our finances. Thank you. Can you welcome her with a round of a big applause?
Whew, it's always difficult to follow Elizabeth. It's a doctor. Good afternoon, everyone. My work is quite easy. You can see it's a one-page report. So we're pleased to present the Treasurer's report for the year ended 28th February 2025. We were a bit delayed this year to have an AGM because if you're looking at the time that we are presenting on, we're on 2026 now. We just finished another financial year, and we're trying to make an effort with our auditors so that the process can be much quicker and it would allow us to be able to have an AGM sooner than that. So really apologies, because now we should be talking about things that happened in 2025 and what's exciting in 2026. Our organization remains committed to its mission, which is to advance a coordinated, multi-sectoral, culturally competent, restorative justice response to violence against women and children. Even when we're managing these funds, we need to be always going to our mission and what are we trying to solve and what are we trying to do here. So during this period, our financial position remains stable with prudent management of both income and expenditure. From an income perspective, we had an income of around 2 million relative to 2.1 in the previous year, representing a 6.9 decrease from the previous year. The sources of this income, it's our two main funders, which is the Ford Foundation at 1.5 million, and also EMW, the Germans, at around 488,000, and then 11,400 from individuals and the donors. And I want to emphasize that 11,400 has come down over the years, reflecting people's struggle out there. We used to get a lot of individuals that donates to this organization, their own 1,000 and everything. And we would encourage people that with their little, because they believe in the work that Saffi is doing with the little resources, that whatever you have, it is welcome in this. Because whether it's a 1 rand, it adds something in the work that we're trying to do here. On the overall 6.9% decrease, it was mainly coming from currency fluctuations because the Ford Foundation has committed a fixed amount in dollar terms with the strengthening of the rand during the period. So that's the main difference that made the income to decrease. From an expenditure point of view, it was around 2.3 million, which is above the income that was generated. And the reason we could be able to incur more expenses than income, it's because at the start of the financial period, we had cash resources of more than 800,000. So that afforded us to be able to do that, which was up from 2.2 in the previous year, increase, implying an 18% increase in expenses. Our biggest cost, when you look at the breakdown of the cost, it's staff cost generally and what we spend on programs. One of the two primary programs that have been increasing over the years is the Pan-African program, and it's also the MED program. And it's quite important for us because it shows our repositioning of Saffi. We're no longer a South African organization. We have expanded to Africa, and we're doing some amazing work. You know, I think it was in 2025 or 2024 when we went to Liberia. Is it? Oh, and in that year. But what was interesting in the 2025-2026, it was not just Elizabeth going to Liberia to show the growth. We took a delegation of some of the leaders that are working with us in South Africa so that they can share with our partners in Africa what we're doing and also get lessons from an African perspectives in other countries. And we're very proud. So when we see this 18% increase, for us, it's not reflecting just negligence in terms of spending, that we're spending more than inflation. We're not ticking box here. We're doing projects, and we're expanding the work that we're doing. So really, with all this, I'm trying to highlight on the main things. At the end of the period, if you're looking at our balance sheet, we're sitting at 1.2 million as our cash balance, starting from February 2025 to get to 2026 year. So on key observation, really, we remain grateful for the support we receive from our funders. As our mission expands across Africa, we recognize the need to enhance our funding efforts to attract more funders. And one of the things that I'm quite happy with at this point in time is the decision of the board taking into account the last annual general meeting with realigning to appoint a service provider that can help us in shaping this. And the bigger part of that as well includes fundraising. And what I like about that organization is that the fundraising that they've done and that they've been successful in doing, it has not been coming from donors only. They have relationships even within the corporate world where when it comes to corporate social initiatives, they have the ability to tap into that. So while we're still not seeing the results, there's a lot of work behind the scenes where we're seeing with reshaping and reimagining Saffi, there's work on the fundraising that is being done, and there are plans that are being drafted so that when we implement that, we can start expanding our efforts in terms of bringing more funders and also different funders, because it's an unpredictable world. If you just remain focusing on donors, some of organizations have closed because of that, and I'm quite happy to be reporting that. So on the challenges side, really, fundraising for non-profit organizations in South Africa is navigating a very challenging but recovering landscape between 2024 to 2025. characterized by high competition, reliance on corporate social investment, as I mentioned, and a shift towards digital innovation. And when Elizabeth was talking about some of those initiatives, because if you don't do that, you will be left behind. While 65% of NPOs reported increased income in 2023, the sector faces increasing pressure with more NPOs reporting now low or no financial reserves in 2024. So the biggest challenge is organizations' reliance on few funders, which poses a risk to its sustainability. We will continue to look for the right talent to assist in organization fundraising. By saying looking for the right, the organization that is helping us is just a project that is looking at realigning and everything. But at some point, as Saffi, we need to have our own internal resource, a right person that can continue looking at this part of fundraising. So on behalf of the finance team, which is led by Louise, who is not here, brilliant bookkeeper that keeps us on our toes, that keeps the team to account in consultation with the treasurer. She's doing amazing work. I would like to thank you all, the donors, the partners, the staff for their ongoing support and dedication. We remain committed to transparent and accountable resource management to further our mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Sis Buli, for bringing numbers to ordinary levels of understanding, yet so complex, but you brought them very nicely for us to understand. Thank you very much. As we listen from all these reports, there is a connection from one person reporting to another one. You know, it could be narrated differently, but you can check what that other one said, how it links. And so thus far, I can see a very much connection even with our financial state of the organization under the years under review. And so I just want to re-invite again the members of this meeting who are online to kindly write in the chat box their names. Just introduce yourself and your organization. Later on, you'll see in the program, I think it's number 14, when we do acknowledgements. So we will acknowledge you. We would really love to acknowledge you at that later stage. We are, just before we move to number 8, I just want to say, as you are listening, please, if there is any question or question of clarity or any form of question or clarification in respect of the reports that have been shared from the chair to the executive director and the treasurer, you will be afforded a space, like I said earlier on, under point number 13 to do the engagement. You will find we are now at number 8. I have spent time to look at the audited financials. I have obligatory responsibility to actually do so. As you can see, my signature is there. And so I would like to present to you for adoption the audited financial statements of the year under review 2024 ending 2025 on pages 33. If you look almost at the midpoint of the report to pages 47. These financials have been audited by our current auditors Valentine and Sergeant Chartered Accountants. And you would see as the treasurer was giving us a narrated with some digits of the movements from the 2 years, the year under review and the previous year, that the auditors have in their audit opinion stated that the financials as accounted and also presented and signed by the director and the chairperson, they fairly represent in their audit report on pages 37. They give an unqualified audit report with no issues. It's an unqualified audit report with no alarming or no issues at all. In other words, the auditors are comfortable with how the finances are handled and all the procedures and policies being followed here at Saffi for the year under review. I therefore propose, unless there is anyone with any question, propose to this meeting, the AGM, to accept the audited financial statements. For those who might not know, the bookkeeper prepared the financial statements, financial report. The treasurer had a look at the financial report. The auditors audited. And after the audit, myself and Elizabeth, we have also satisfied ourselves. We're happy because the treasurer was happy, Elizabeth was happy, and I was comfortable. I placed my signature. After that, the auditors said, oh, you are taking the responsibility that we say they fairly represent. Then the auditors put their signature. That was the process. So the auditors did not sign. They said, we are fairly and reasonably happy that in terms of the international financial reporting standards, we are happy that all is in order. Take responsibility for that. We did on behalf of the organization. Then they signed and they brought them back to us. We put them into this report to present to you that all is in order and has been confirmed by the auditors. Do you give your blessings as the financial report has been independently reviewed? The current auditors have been with us for a good years. We'll talk about that later on. But firstly, may I propose to you that you accept these audited financial statements? Is there anyone by the show of hand? Thank you so much. And the seconder? Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Thank you. We are all happy. Yes. Is there anyone in the meeting who says, please record me, I am not happy? I'm looking online, no one. Counting once, twice, thrice. Buyer, donkey. Thank you so much. Thank you. We have just done the adoption of the audited financial statements on number 9. On number 8, pardon me. On number 9, last year we have mentioned that we are proposing for the last time to have the current auditors to continue to do the audit work. I must place it on record for future that our current auditors, Valentine, Surgeon, Chartered Accountants, for many years they have been so gracious to us, did the work pro bono. And even though we are currently, because of the current healthy financial state, as you heard from our treasurer and also saw in the audited financial statements, we we have been giving them some money. Though I said to Elizabeth, she was like, "Ooh, Zooks." I said, "Elizabeth, about 15,000, it's almost nothing for the auditors, chartered accountants." And you know, Elizabeth, with money, she's very stingy. The executive director is stingy. I must say, I'm placing that on record. And so I said to her, "Elizabeth, more than 5 years ago, I was chair of another NPO in my previous church in Johannesburg, and the activities of that NPO exceeds that of Saffi in terms of the transactions. And that in that year, we were giving them an honorarium fee of 16,000 then. And then I said to her, "Hey, Elizabeth, yes, but we must look for some people like the current auditors." But I'm trying to say the money that is given to the auditors, when you look at the market, I know we're an NPO, but if we're to get like general people, Sisbul will tell me that you're not going to pay money. I'm placing as part of an obligatory responsibility of this meeting that every year we review the auditors. We have, in terms of the timing of receiving the audited financial statements, we have struggled in the past few years. As you heard from the treasurer, it's very late to sit for the AGM of a financial year ended February 2025. One of the major contributing factors, as you saw in this audited financial statement, that the auditors only signed on page 38, the audited financial statements on the 17th of February 2026. That is like a year later, you know. So we want to ask this AGM, as we indicated last year, that we would begin last year already to look for alternative auditors that will replace the current auditors. That the work to look for the auditors has begun, but we are not in the state of presenting what, in our consultation with the treasurer and everyone else in the board, we're not able to present yet now. The process is not fully completed, but we're requesting from the AGM to grant the board a privilege of completing the process and getting new auditors for the year that needs to be reviewed. So I'm placing to this meeting to grant the board to complete that work, and in the next AGM for us to be able to present for your endorsement whoever is an auditor. So far we've found one closer in terms of knowing that we needed auditors who are competent but to do, and we have the flavor of doing this kind of work. Not everyone can do it. Yes, others can do, but can do it other spirit of monies and everything. So I'm not sure whether I'm making sense. I am proposing to the meeting in a request that you grant the board to complete the process of looking and appointing the auditors on your behalf for your endorsement in the next ensuing AGM. Can I hear your name? Okay, you're proposing that we do that. Okay, any seconder? Thank you. Did you see the name, the seconder? Thank you so much. Is that the mind of the house? Okay, is there any person with an alternative idea against this one? Online? Are we happy online that the people in person all agree that the board that note, we are at number 10. For the purposes of the conflict of interest, I would like to vacate the podium and give this agenda point to our executive director to lead us at this juncture. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We're almost done. That's what AGMs are about. Thank you for your patience. So at this point, I would like to request that we elect the board members in block. But what I just preempt, just before we do that, I'm grateful for the board understanding that we are in this time of transition and what could be potentially quite a major transition, major shift for Saffi. That there's been discussion at board level in terms of also, as we are moving, what would be some of the expertise, extra expertise that we need in an organization that will be making this significant shift. So the board, the current board has agreed to stay, to help also with just holding the space, as we are making this shift. And at the same time, we would like to bring only Pam. And okay, so we have two nominations that I'd like to add to the existing board. The two new people is Reverend Pam Delport, who's a Methodist minister who's in our midst. Pam, do you want to just stand so people see you, and if the camera can catch Reverend Pam Delport. She's been with Saffi in various capacities over the years and also served on our Theological Advisory Council on Gender-Based Violence for many years. So she would be, she availed herself to come on board. And then we have another person who's not here in this meeting, but we have tabled the person's CV with the board, and that is Mr. Peter Skay. And so he comes from the Cape Flats as well, and is really in business and NGO, extensive experience in that way. And so we also want to add him together with the existing board members, and I'm going to name them because it's important to actually name all of them. Can I just? So I'm proposing that this annual general meeting elect in block Reverend Zukisa Fumba, Tawanda Mugari, Bulelwa Ntsingwa, Nita Makanji, Sondra Bailey, Batul Haider, Dr. Tahira Mathi, Reverend Pam Dalport, and Mr. Peter Skay. Please, that's my nomination proposal. I need someone to second that. Please. Is it Valerie? Valerie seconds that. Any oppositions or any different revelations or discernments online? Anybody? Okay, nobody. All in favor? Then say aye. Thank you very much. At this point, I'm going to hand the meeting back to the chairperson of this meeting, if that is in order with this meeting. So can I call Reverend Zukisa back to the podium as chair? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for leading us at number 10, the election of board members. And we just heard that in the current board members, there is an addition of 2 newly board members. We are at number 11. It's a special presentation. Did you hear that? Special presentation for Saffi's strategic. Come again? Yes. Hey, I'm rushing, Annie. Pardon me. In number 11, program development, implementation, and impact report. One of our staff members, it is Ashwin and Martin. We just saw them earlier on, a big team to come and give us.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be reading the program development and implementation impact report taken from in the annual report that you have in front of you. Don't worry, I'm not going to read everything. It's only a shortened version. It's taken from pages 13 to 24. So pages 13 and 24, with the help of my colleague, Mr. Martin, you can come and join me, sir. We have summarized the report. Luckily enough, when the annual reports arrived at our last staff meeting, I grabbed myself a copy, Reverend Zooks, and I went straight to this report because I knew Dr. Elizabeth will turn and say, "You're going to do the report now?" So like, this time I'll be ready. So yes, I will be reading, and then Martin will be taking also further on. So good day to everyone present. We extend a warm greetings to the board of Saffi and those who would be newly elected as well. Those here in the room as well as those who have joined us via our Zoom online link. Your presence and continued commitment to this work are deeply appreciated. Just a recent update that I want to give. So the MAD program, or the MAD app that is currently on Google Play Store, is in its still testing phase. It has gone through its second testing phase. So we also want to thank those that has availed themselves to be part of the testing of the MAD app. And so if you do, and if you have formed part of the MAD app testing group, then we want to ask that you do interact with the app, as Google Play don't want just to see that it's on your phone, but they want to see that you are interacting with the app as well. And so we also want to thank the technical team, Tawanda and Paul, that's working in the background, really assisting us in making these things possible. So the program development, implementation and impact report 2024 and 2025. This year marked a meaningful expansion of Saffi's work across different communities and regions. Alongside this growth, we have internationally strengthened the integration of our programs, moving from fundamental awareness towards more specialized, in-depth training for faith leaders, practitioners, and community members. A key priority throughout the year has been the inclusion of both visible and invisible disabilities across our programs, ensuring accessibility and meaningful participation for all. Our long-term vision remains clear: to both religious leaders and gender-based violence and intimate partner abuse service providers, transformed in the understanding of gender power relations from hierarchical to relational, so that through practices and the spirit of Ubuntu, relationships within homes and communities that can flourish. This report reflects our work over the 2024 and 2025 financial year. The Saffi's domestic violence training and pastoral spiritual care capacity strengthening module. The Saffi module continues to guide our program's development and implementation in earlier this year, much of our work focused on workshops and structured training. Over time, many of those trained have gone on to establish their own ministries and initiatives addressing harmful practices that perpetuate the gender-based violence. This year, we have placed strong emphasis on listening and learning from these leaders. Through our listening and learning campaign, it's including field visits to communities such as Atlantis and the Oudtshoorn, which we sought to understand the real impact of our work and how it contributes to a broader community of the gender-based violence sectors. Some are volunteering and collaborating with the South African Police Services, the Tutuzela Care Center, Social Development and Correctional Service. Also working closely with other religious leaders, also the Mosaic Training and Healing Center for Women Survivors of Gender-Based Violence, and the Atlantis Day Hospital Clinical Counselor assisting victim survivors and perpetrators. During a 2-day field visit in Atlantis, Saffi engaged with all of these religious leaders and also these different stakeholders as mentioned. We witnessed encouraging collaboration with faith leaders working with the South African Police Services and Health Services and community organizations to support survivors and address gender-based violence through counseling, education and outreach initiatives. This engagement has also contributed to a baseline study to explore readiness for faith-based interventions with perpetrators of intimate partner abuse. Importantly, the community shared valuable insights of how partnerships between faith leaders and law enforcement can advance healing and hope. The Saffi religious leaders and gender-based violence stakeholder engagement in the Oudtshoorn area. A 3-day retreat brought together long-standing faith leaders to reflect on their journey with Saffi. The process created space for personal storytelling, shared learning, and renewed vision. A key outcome was a collective commitment to reignite Saffi's work in the region with a focus of unity across communities. Interim leadership was appointed to guide this process and new collaborations were formed, including with local libraries. The introduction of the Men Affirming Dignity Initiative, abbreviated MAD, exhibition in Oudtshoorn marked an important step in expanding community education and engagement. The introducing of the Saffi's module in Santo Domingo and Dominican Republic. Saffi had the privilege of introducing its work internationally in Santo Domingo. Through the collaboration with global partners, we engaged faith leaders and gender-based violence stakeholders in conversations about the role of faith in addressing domestic violence. As part of this, during the year, Saffi's work also took them with different various Christian denominations in the Santo Domingo Dominican Republic. This collaboration with the founder and president, Carmen de la Rosso, and her organization, Tree Roots of Transforming International, aka Roots, came as a result of Saffi's ongoing Pan-African work with Dr. Oliver Williams and the African American Domestic Abuse Project. The men's work and the MAD initiative and the gender-based violence in the GBV and IPA perpetrator interventions. Our men's work strategically continued through the MAD initiative and the perpetrator intervention program. Over 500 individuals participated in these initiatives during the reporting year. Through partnerships, public campaigns, and stakeholder engagements, we created spaces for diverse groups such as men, women and youth survivors and professionals to engage with the MAD exhibition and its message of accountability and dignity. We have also explored pilot interventions for perpetrators working with the South African Police Services and other stakeholders to strengthen referral pathways and addressing gaps in existing systems. Just off record, not off record, not that's, I didn't note it here. I'm sorry. For those that have not engaged with the MAD mobile exhibition yet, it is outside that one. So when we do go for lunch, then you are more than welcome to engage with the 14 stories of the men that you see inside. There is also the QR scanning code that you can go and watch the videos of the men, and to say that these men's stories are touching lives in every way possible. Thank you.
Thank you to my colleague Ashwin Duploy. He's very, very committed. He's very passionate about the MAD initiative. He's very proactive as well. Last week we had 2 critical events, one after the other. The other one was was International Women's Day, and the other event was on a Tuesday. The other one was on a Wednesday. Then after the event, you get tired, you get exhausted. The following day was Thursday, basically. And just before 3 o'clock, then Dr. Elizabeth said, you guys need to prepare a report. You will read it on Tuesday, on Wednesday at the AGM. I'm thinking, I'm looking at Ashwin, I'm like, how are we going to summarize 1 year information on this specified time? He said, don't worry, we'll summarize it. So this is a summarized version of what I'm reading as well. So exploring GBV IPA perpetrator intervention pilot. Engagement with key institutions including SAPS, the National Prosecuting Authority, and Healthcare Services, highlighted the need for stronger intervention programs for perpetrators. Important themes emerged: the value of community-based insights in shaping effective responses, the influence of faith in addressing GBV, and thirdly, the need to strengthen referral systems for both survivors and perpetrators. These insights are informing ongoing efforts to develop a pilot intervention program, the Pan-African Program on GBV, Culture and Religion. Saffi continued to strengthen its Pan-African partnerships, engaging with colleagues across multiple African countries. A highlight was the 8-day pilgrimage and conference during the 16 days of activism, bringing together faith leaders, law enforcement, and social workers across Africa. Through site visits, shared dialogue, and reflection, participants explored the role of faith in addressing GBV and historical injustices. These engagements continue to deepen collaboration and shared learning across the continent. Sacred Conversations. Over 122 participants took part in Sacred Conversations this year. These gatherings created safe space for dialogue, reflection, and learning from lived experiences. Participants included faith leaders, survivors, youth, and community members, ensuring that often excluded voices were heard. These conversations also integrated elements such as the MAD exhibition and heritage site visits, reflecting Saffi's holistic approach to transformation. Camps, conferences, and events. Our campaigns and events aligned closely with the MAD initiative and Pan-African program. We participated in national and community-based events, including International Mother Tongue Day, Youth Month, Women's Month, and Deaf Awareness Month. Special focus was given to including people with disabilities. Conversations with fathers, women, and community groups revealed both the challenges and resilience of those navigating GBV alongside disability. Public education and awareness. Public education remains central to Saffi's work. Through partnerships with community organizations, we contributed to panel discussions, workshops, and media engagements. These collaborations reflect the universal relevance of Saffi's mission and its ability to connect across diverse communities and sectors. Research and development. This year we focus strongly on engaging women survivors of GBV and learning from their experiences. A 5-week healing program was piloted with women in a shelter in Cape Town. The program combined faith-based education with elements of MADE initiative. Participants reported meaningful personal growth and healing, particularly through engaging both the spiritual and historical dimensions of their experiences. This work will continue to inform the development of resources and programs that are responsive, evidence-based, and centered on survivor empowerment. In conclusion, the 2024-25 year reflects Saffi's continued growth and deepening impact. We have moved toward more meaningful engagement, prioritizing equality, collaboration, and sustainability. Our programs have empowered participants to become active partners in this work, extending Saffi's reach beyond direct implementation. We have strengthened inclusivity, particularly through integrating visible and invisible disabilities, and continue to expand the MADE initiative across the multiple areas of work. Through research partnerships and community engagement, Saffi has demonstrated its commitment to fostering healing, accountability, and transformation. As we look ahead, we remain grounded in our mission to disrupt harmful practices, promote dignity, and cultivate communities where hope and human flourishing are possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for giving us that overview of the work that has happened here at Saffi. We are at agenda point number 12. We have one of our board members who... The network is a problem, okay. We have Tawanda Mugari. He is online, but he's struggling with the network. We have a condensed... Okay, wonderful. So the media team will project the slides with this special presentation, the one I was jumping to it earlier on, about Saffi's strategic review and repositioning plan. So Tawanda is to be our spokesperson as the board. Yes, and then, yeah, he's struggling. Maybe you can just see if he can. Tawanda, can you try, man? You are an international cybersecurity expert, so you can penetrate through that network issue. If you are struggling,
Good afternoon, Zux. Apologies, my network is not that great, but I'm hoping I will be able to do the needful. If not, Zux, you're on standby. Okay. But I really feel like this conversation was being talked about from the moment we had your chairman's report, Zux. Then I think it was now Dr. Elizabeth who then jumped in and spoke about this. Then later on, it was also CCB who jumped in. So 2025 was a year that we literally invested time as a board to relook at how Safi is operating and how we can reposition ourselves. So I think as per the presentation shown, you will see that there is the dignity gap. And this really is something that we unpacked at board level and also with so many stakeholders who I think are also in the room. We had so many talks with our consultants, SGS, through Sean, but we also had uh, this type of discussions as well with other partners and stakeholders. And I think we're on the right path, as I think Zooks shared, to say we're at a time when we really need to shift things. We really need to look at how the work is being interpreted within the world. And we also really need to look at how some of the things that we're doing internally as Safi need to shift. So I think we'll move to the next slide if you can. So we are moving from the concept of an NGO to systems actor and trying to build something that we are terming National Center of Excellence. Though it's debatable, okay, this term really took time, ping-ponging. I think we all know that our ED is good in English. So we really shared a lot of terms there. But, but I think we have three things, that we really need to focus on. Safi is the practitioner, and we need now to deliver high impact Ubuntu grounded interventions. Yes, we're doing that already, but we need now to really invest more energy in terms of that. Restructuring our identities in communities. We've got so many communities, that we're engaged in, but we now need to say, how do we identify as Safi in each and every organization or community that we are with? We are also a body of knowledge. We have got a lot of knowledge, that we have been taking and documenting and making sure that we have. But is that information also outward facing? So we now need to also be looking at how do we produce the knowledge. We are going to be a knowledge producer by default and intentional, okay? Yes, we do have, a lot of work that we've been doing and a lot of research, but we're now saying we need to be more intentional about it. We need to have, that's why we have, like Martin. He he's getting into the team because of his expertise in terms of like how do we then not just have the type of knowledge, but how then do we also share that knowledge with other people? So yes, we have been in partnership with other universities, in the past, but not right now. We really need to invest more in that. Then lastly, it's exactly the circle three, the justice voice. Okay, how do we then improve in enhancing our influence in all the spheres? Okay, these are just examples there, but where do you see Safi playing a role in your house, in our churches, at national level, regional, international? That's where we are trying to push Safi for 2030. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn off my camera because there's a delay. Okay, so I think I've been explaining this for some time now, and I think this was also emphasized by a lot of people who spoke before me, and You're doing a sterling job. You're doing a sterling job, Liz. Okay. All right. So, so I think I'll I'll just keep my camera off, because I think my network is a bit cocky. Okay. All right. So thanks, Liz, for that slide. So there are four pillars, that we really want to be shaping. Ashwin is really doing a great work around the MED, pro pro- program, and so we need then to scale up, the MED.
he is at home in Harare. And so I saw from the border, he was not getting joy to get a pass with the network from time to time. But thank you so much, Tawanda. Thank you to
I
Elizabeth.
heard that, Zukusu. I heard that, Zooks.
I'm happy that you are back. Friends online and in person, you see our treasurer walking to the outside. She has a meeting that she will attend outside. This is how much the people, all volunteers, but I'm talking now about the volunteers in the board. So she left the office, but to give her precious time here. So on your behalf, I gave her dispensation to attend that meeting. And I said to her, if there is a question that we will not be able to answer, which I doubt, but if there is, I will call you from that meeting. So just to indicate to you that respectfully, she just went outside. But because the way how we work, if you listen, you'll find that if Tawanda can't get from the president a pass to the border, through the border, we can here this side, vis-a-vis. So we can always close the gap, as Elizabeth did. I think we are now at the time of questions and comments, but we will do it in a very reverse manner, in the sense that the latter part of this condensed overview status report of our ongoing review and repositioning, while it's still hot, let's strike this iron. I believe that in a way it captures even the state of the work that has been reported, and now as a path going into the future. Now that you have heard from Tawanda and Elizabeth giving us a very condensed glimpses of the discerning process in the work of review that has taken place, now repositioning. Just to hear any inputs from you, whether are we on the right path as the people who are independently listening and engaging with this condensed version of where we are at in terms of planning our destination, taking into account the shifts that are taking place in the environment. We have heard from Tawanda and Elizabeth that the fundamental foundations of Saffi's vision, there is no hint, there is no chance of changing them, even with the shifts, both in how we see that we need to do the work and how we perceive the work and how Saffi's work has expanded and needs to be captured in the right vehicles, like the one that Tawanda spoke of. We've got a wealth of diverse, rich knowledge that we have felt that, exhausting or exploring accreditation of the current work that we do and the work that will feed to other platforms of communities, not just at the universities, but many parts of the communities. The way how we understand the dignity gap, the way how even in the market, with a lack of a better word, the way in which in the communities, specifically in the government and the other community-based entities, how the work of Saffi has landed into the shifting lenses from donors to other forms of people supporting this work. For example, the MEDS initiative, Men Affirming Dignity, as one of the ways of us trying to close the dignity gap from this to this, going from the bottom up. So I think it's critical that we can hear from you your take with this journey that we have taken. We have not gone to the level to say this is the final product, which even then we will present to you. But we feel that we place it to you as critical stakeholders. Because at the end of the day, we are accountable. You are a parliament, remember? You are the parliament of Saffi. So the annual general meeting is the parliament. So the stakeholders who are very independent, yes, in terms of the governance, the board members hold everything together in between the AGMs. But we come to you. This is a very critical phase of Saffi as we are doing the work of repositioning. So let me stop right there and give a space to you. I'm not preaching.
Must I stand? Okay, let me stand. I'm Sarah Sally, the founder and member of Bond of Walking Ladies. And I just want to say we're so humbled with gratitude and honored to be associated and in partnership with Saffi. I think we've been walking this walk for some time. And I think the shift is way overdue. And we're saying 2030, but we are now a year behind. It's no more 5 years, it's 4 years. We're in 2026 now. And you know, when you introduced the MAD initiative, I was really mad about it. It was awesome because we've been struggling since we've been walking this journey to start healing men. And being part of Saffi, and especially with this MAD initiative, whenever we deal with people, and it's always, you know, with gender-based violence, unfortunately, the perpetrator is most of the times men. And sadly, it's also very struggling to get men into a safe space to start just reveal to heal. And I think with what Saffi have in mind now, we can only pray to the Almighty to make this venture very, very successful. And I think the time for the shift is now. And together we can do more. And we wish you all the success with this venture. Thank you so much.
Anyone online to balance the equation? It doesn't have to be online. If there is a hand here, you can just raise your hand and get the mic.
Hi, Lavona Johnson. I represent Vanguard Community Health Center, so in the health sector. Thank you very much that we can partner with you. I just wanted to raise something the Treasurer mentioned, which is quite profound, is that you need to be self-sufficient, really, because relying on external sources is probably, you know, everybody's struggling. And so, which means you run the risk of extinction sooner rather than later, even with amazing vision, and we trust the Lord will bless it. So I'm just reflecting on, for example, like CCFM, those kind of radio stations, and they run, I'm sure it's not new to you, but they run those kind of campaigns twice a year, where they get people who are invested in the mission, vision, values of your organization for that week to actually pledge, you know, an amount monthly or whatever, so that happens. Another way that I'm not sure to what extent you could do it in your organization, but when you're having, for example, your MAD events or any events, that you're having your pledge cards. It's simple things like that, that reminding people of doing it. I'm sure you have many other things, but I'm just thinking those are simple ways to start getting people into the idea if that they align with your vision, that they may want to invest their R1 or 10 Rand, and 10 Rand nowadays is quite significant for us to give. The other thing, just aside from finance, which is not my expertise, but I just thought I'd throw it in there. I wanted to just speak in specifically around with health, and being a Christian myself, family is very important. And so whilst I applaud you for the men affirming dignity and all of that. I'm just wondering if you could inform us how you then link that to the family. I heard Dr. Elizabeth saying that more ladies are even coming to the events, and we do need to have those goal setting. I'm fully with that action step, but I'm just wondering, while you're doing that, in parallel to that, are there family connections being made? Because ultimately, if people don't know how to then put it in practice and see it being exhibited, practically like that, whether it's in a skit or in real life form, it's very difficult to translate it from a theoretical space into what real life looks like. And it's in the real life and your four walls where the violence is happening. So I'm just wondering, what you have for the way forward for that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yes, wonderful. I think I would like to give to Elizabeth to assist, especially with the latter question, because the way how Elizabeth will give it is in the context of the MED initiative, how it has come about and how it's been spreading. But I think in that way it will answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Just to say, for the first decade of Saffi's life, we started in 2008. We started our work focusing on our primary target group, which is religious leaders. And religious leaders have access to families and, within their faith communities. And so whilst we may not do direct work in that sense, but we come alongside faith leaders and faith communities, strengthening their capacity as they are then, working with families and individuals who may be afflicted or vulnerable to gender-based violence, and then also the prevention work. So even as the training usually happens with faith leaders, it becomes both a prevention, intervention, and aftercare tool, at once. And so the purpose, the MAD initiative, the men's work, really is sort of almost like our flagship, what do they call it? People talk about flagship programs, but that has been sort of in our second decade, which we are in currently, that has become sort of a particular focus. So for example, we are seeing even faith leaders who had been part of the Saffi model and the training and all of that, how they are using the MAD initiative, the stories, the exhibition, the 14 stories of the men in the exhibition as part of their work within their congregations, within their communities. But I wanted to also draw attention to, in fact, make it even more practical. We are, one of our more recent partnerships or collaborations is with Africa Unite. And I'd be interested, if we could have your voice, just to say something more practical actually in terms of how have we actually seen the MAD initiative come to life for the men that, that we are collaborating with Africa Unite, and how that translated to their families. Do you, Peliswa, do you want to there's the mic. Yes. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pele Gwazindo.
Oh.
I work at Africa Unite, organization called Africa Unite. So we recently formed a partnership with Saffi, the Men of Farming Dignity. We have a men's safe space. We have created a men's safe space in Guguletu for males in Guguletu and Manenberg areas. So with the partnership that we had with Saffi, we have the men that we work with have gotten a space whereby they can speak about the past, the present, and the future. And also it has helped them to regain their strength as men, their dignity as men, and also to amend relationships that whether with their partners and their children, we have heard them saying that they went back to reconcile with their children because of the sacred conversation that they had with Saffi. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know, Ashwin, do you want to add any comment on that?
Yes.
Are you covered?
So within that conversation, one of the men, actually about 4, if I'm counting correct, 4. So the one lives with his sisters, and he's the only male in the house, and he didn't have that much of the respect being given to him as the male. And so after the sacred conversations that we had and the implementations that we spoke about, and we said, listen, so this doesn't stop here, it must go into your house now. You create that space for your families. And so now they have even started as a family respecting him much more, in that essence that he has a voice, you know, the way he's speaking to them, the way he's just communicating with his sisters. They have a curfew now that at 8 o'clock, everyone must be in the house. So if you later than 8 o'clock outside, oh, shame. It's your thing. I don't know how you're going to get into the house there. But that's one of the examples. The other example is one of the things that Pelekwa mentioned is that one of the men, won't mention his name, but he spoke and he said after 20 years after the sacred conversation, because one of the stories that we spoke about is the Earl story, and I call it the coffin experience. So the coffin experience is where Earl, Hillary laugh now because she knows I'm an undertaker. But yeah, the coffin experience is where Earl met his dad in the coffin for the first time. And so he then, after that sacred conversation, decided, no, it's not going to happen, that he's not going to have his kids meet him and his family meet him again in a coffin. He doesn't want that. And so after the sacred conversation, I think it was about a week later, he went back. And when he came on, his kids was excited to actually see him come back home. And then he actually found out that he's also not just a father, but he's now a grandfather also. And so he's now being this active grandfather and father for his kids. One of the men also shares the story, and he says how he's now becoming more active with his daughter because he wants to break that generational trauma of not finishing school and just stopping and going nowhere in life. And so now he's becoming that active father in that way. He's actually motivating her to go attend courses. He's looking where she can find short courses to really equip herself with. One of the other men he has a nickname in the community called Mzansi. So Mzansi is translated home, right? Am I right? All right. Mzansi, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so but like home. And so the kids in the street gravitate towards him. Even after the sacred conversation, one of the questions that was asked is, what is the legacy that you're going to leave behind? If your face should appear on the Mad Mobile exhibition, what is the story that is being read? And one of the things we ask in all our conversations is, who are the African men that has been affirming dignity in your life? And so Mzansi went back and he made that decision that if these kids one day should come and sit in a room, he wants his name to be mentioned. So he goes and he fetches them at school, drop them at home. With the little money he makes sure he buys them lollipops, sweets. So then he'll ask them, did you finish your homework? And if they didn't, they wouldn't get the sweet as the, what's it? I'm saying initiative. What's it?
Incentive.
No, man, as the incentive, yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's
Yes.
a hand there.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwin.
For this one, it's going to be the last hand.
Patsy Daniels from Manenberg, the Laratu Family Foundation in Manenberg. Thank you for the invitation, and I've been here, I think, 2019 at the last AGM. But what I want to add on, in terms of statistics, because I think you don't even see how you can actually, record the statistics because you're doing indirect impact in terms of families. Although you work with the religious leaders, they, go to their churches. How many families are impacted? How many people in the family? And how can that statistics come back to you? Statistically also, to show that that is how the impact is being done without even, having to record the people's names. Because I think that would be another way of showing the work that you do. Because I think people just hear religious leaders and like, what really, what? But I think because of the impact that's being done, and there's evidence like, what we hear now from Africa Unites, maybe to look at, in that regard, how it impacts not just that person, but, the leader, but the families and how you can actually draw on that data.
Spaces. And I think when we had the exhibition, that was also one of the important things. And even looking at the 14 stories, almost all of the men speak about their childhood and their experiences and families and what that looks like. And I know it's very difficult, at least for me. I've been working in this space for now 10 years. It always has been really difficult to have conversations about opening up safe spaces for men. Because when I came in, the conversation has always been around the protection of women and creating safe spaces for women. But when we speak about GBV prevention, we speak about a whole of society approach. And I think it has taken a long time for many community-based organizations to start being bold enough to have the safe spaces for men and have those conversations and seeing men as allies and not seeing men only as perpetrators of gender-based violence. Because what we see as adult women is what children are seeing in their fathers and their brothers. They don't see them as fathers, they don't see them as brothers, they don't see them as role models. They see them as what we paint them to be as adult women. So I think these conversations, I'm so excited to hear about the expansion of the MED program. I know it's coming back to Bridgetown. I'm going to hold Dr. Ian Ashwin to that, so that we can continue having these difficult conversations because they're very important. We speak about, again, a whole of society approach. Men are part of that conversation, and they are big or important parts within our families. The sooner we have the conversations, the sooner we are able to see a different view in terms of how we look at prevention and how we engage even perpetrators of violence that are men in engaging in these conversations. Where is this all coming from? Because if we're having this conversation with only women, we're not necessarily going to get to the nitty-gritties of what the experiences of men look like and what can be done to actually end or eradicate gender-based violence, especially on the Cape Flats or the communities that we grew up in. There isn't a lot of organizations that are accessible that work with men. So we really, I think I speak for Colors Foundation as well when I say we welcome an opportunity to always engage with organizations such as Saffi that are willing to come to the communities and have these direct conversations with men. Thank you so much.
That review. Friends, thank you so much on this topic, and thank you for all the inputs, starting from the one on the potential avenues of revenue generations, like from those small and traditional ways of generating. And part of the envisioning for the future, for the position of Saffi, is that through the establishment of other pillars, i.e. the accreditation, the one to have Saffi, part of Saffi as a private higher institution of learning, could be one of the places of making revenue. But thank you so much. Can I open up this space now if there are any comments to the reports that were presented earlier on from the chairperson to the executive director and the treasurer. In case there is any comments, question of clarity, I'm looking at you, the meeting online, we are hybrid. You know, things have changed. Hybrid AGMs. You know, others are in the space, others are right here. Okay, we have no comments online. Any comments here? I know that the clock is ticking, okay, but I needed to give justice, lest someone places a complaint to say the chair did not give us a space. Okay, thank you very much. I now move us to number 14, the moments of acknowledgement. You know, people, God created us and to be acknowledged because He acknowledged us. So, Elizabeth, it's your time now. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to just maybe first start by acknowledging the newly elected board members. If you can all just, the ones who are present here, if you can just all come to the front so people see you, and then actually just introduce yourself, besides the ones that you've already seen. But I think it's important that the AGM actually knows who's on the board, right? And the newly elected ones, if you can come, the ones who are present, all of you, please. And then, of course, you've met Tawanda online. So just to introduce yourself, please. Your voice must be heard.
I think we met earlier today, Tahira Mathi, from the Baha'i community. Lovely to be here.
I'm Pamela Dalput. I'm from the Methodist Church of Southern Africa, retired. I love to add that.
And busy with a PhD. Yes.
Hi, I'm Batul Heather. I'm from AFOSA, Al Foundation of South Africa. And I'm with Saffi. I don't remember how many years, but it is absolutely pleasure to be part of Saffi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And then, thank you. And
Hello, I'm Nita Makanji from the Brahma Kumaris and the secretary of SEP.
thank you so much. You all have met our chair, and we all have met Tawanda, who was online, and Bulelwa is outside. And so now I'd like to acknowledge the staff, the team that has really been amazing, Ashwin and Martin. There's been a lot of the finer detail of things. So just to say thank you to Ashwin, also just to hold Ashwin prayerfully. It's the second time that when we have like a major event that he actually experienced bereavement. So just yesterday, a close family member passed on. And so I really want to say, Ashwin, that I appreciate your navigations. He's holding an important role in his family, but also the way that he navigates himself in terms of being here and contributing to the work of Saffi. So thank you very much. And then also Martin, and then Natalia, who is very new, but also for her contribution. I'm really grateful to the board for your presence and for your commitment and your presence here. Everyone that is in the room, thank you so much. There's new connections. There's old, folk that has been here for a while in terms of our relationship. Particularly looking forward to what is the center called? Yes, we're looking very much forward to be connecting a little bit more also with the First Nations and the work that is going on at that center or through that center, amongst others. And then particularly appreciative of City Mission that is represented here, for holding us, because we are there in their space. And so they've been gracious and kind to us it's not a donation, but no, but I'm saying, being kind, because sometimes you can, even when you pay, people can treat you a certain way. And we've been really blessed by a wonderful, wonderful generosity. So please extend that acknowledgement to Carmen and the team. Beatrice, thank you for being here. Then I wanted to also acknowledge the people online. Is there a way that we can see the screen?
At the meeting, it was just after 10 past 11, and I was watching my phone and watch to see that we need to keep to the promised time, and it looks like we're ahead of time because the time we started will finish just before that set 3 hours. You've been a wonderful hybrid meeting, both online and in person. Thank you for your activeness in this meeting. It was a very active, not a passive meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you to Elizabeth for organizing. You know, she is the executive director, and the team for making sure that everything is smooth. Likewise, to me, when the sound and media desk is 100% on par, oh, it just flavors the meeting. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. And at this time, as we come to the close of this meeting, I want to invite here in the podium Batul to do the closing prayer for us. Thank you, Batul.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. O merciful and compassionate Creator, we come together across faith and tradition and unite here as all humanity. We lift our hearts in prayer for all those who suffer from gender-based violence, those whose pain is often hidden, their voices are silent, and their dignities are wounded. Grant them strength where there is a fear, healing where is a hurt, and hope where there is a despair. We ask our God to protect them and have justice for them. And we ask, we should all stand against injustice, doesn't matter where, against which, women and children especially. And we should make our voice heard, and we must make the homes, we must make the communities, and we must make the societies rooted in respect, safety, and honor for every human. May we be instrument for our peace, your peace, uplifting the society, supporting the broken, and working tirelessly for a world free from violence and oppression. Amen.
I am told that as you step out of this door, you'll find something to refresh you, especially at this time of the day. So please enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone online. See you the next time. Appreciate your commitment. Bye.